We're gonna kick it off, and anybody that just comes in, please come in and sign in and just let us know. Put in your names. My name is Babou Olengha-Aaby, and I'm the founder of The Next Billion, which is a company on the mission to raise the visibility of women in business globally. And so I'm extremely excited to be interviewing and spotlighting Katerina Eriksen today. Who I've known for a number of years now. And I would describe Katerina as somebody who's extremely passionate about green issues. But more so, I think, if I had to nail an expression, I would say she is a entrepreneurial activist who uses entrepreneurship to find innovative business models around the circular economy. She founded Compost & Co. 8 years ago with co-founders, and Compost & Co. was a social enterprise which utilizes food waste to create job opportunities for disadvantaged youth by training them up to be chefs, cooks, and using the vehicle of a catering business and also a food truck, actually. And now she is she's founded a new company called Circular Ways. And really, Circular Ways does a number of things, but one of the things it does do is share knowledge around best practices on circular economy, but also facilitates conversations around it and projects with private sector, but also public sector. And she'll explain a little bit more about what she does and why it's so special. What she does that is slightly different by utilizing not just trying to solve the circular economy issue, but also looking at social inclusion within her model as well. So welcome, Katerina.
Thank you, and thank you for interviewing me.
No, it's fun. Well, I'll kick off first by kind of a general question, set the tone, really. I was listening to one of your podcasts and recently, and you said, in your own words, you described that you feel that we are currently experiencing what you called a consciousness shift. And really, my question to you is, how have you experienced this consciousness shift within your project Circular Ways, but also how do you think this consciousness shift today differs from other consciousness shifts we've had in the past?
Well, at least I hope we're in the consciousness shift. No, I believe that strongly. I think that we have now both environmental problems and we have also the economic problems that we see that we need to change. And the circular economy is the way that we can all stop and be a part of something, to have the right to make an impact. I think we all been codependent in the greed systems that has been running for the past century. And we know that, I mean, we see it and we know it now, that we can actually personally feel the pain that it's causing. And maybe because it's a pain that we are witnessing and feeling, it's important. I mean, it's easier for us to be more involved personally, but also we have the markets that are demanding the change. So the economy is also forwarding it. So that's why let's say the spiritual shift or the consciousness shift is easier maybe to put into action, because we have more action drivers in the different value chains that we're creating.
Do you think it's also prompted by the fact that finally there's a realization that green can be profitable? So you're seeing not just like the I suppose the ethical and do it for good factor, but also the fact that different stakeholders are realizing there is a potential market opportunity and scaling up green issues.
Yes, you can see that the market is demanding it now. Before, when we started the first social enterprise in 10 years ago with Compost & Co., we actually just used the surplus food in our catering just to cut costs, because we had other higher costs because of the that we had to take care of the youth that we were working with. But So there wasn't really a demand from the market. But right now we see that that's what they want. They want both the environmental impact and also the social impact.
Yeah. And that's, I guess,
So
that's also something that's happening across the board. And I think it's very much, you can see in the circular economy, but I think in a lot of like the big challenges of this world, we're seeing that there's a shift because there's an economic factor involved now.
yeah.
And I guess, really, do you think that this shift is here to last? Because cynics would say, okay, this is a shift that's like, yes, they see now the economic factor of it, but is this something that you believe, from your experience, it's a shift that is going to be sustainable and will drive long-lasting action?
I believe that since there are, as I said, so many drivers now, that we see that we have to cooperate and we have to make new. This is the time to think new, and we can think new together, because there are not only the grassroots movements or the environmentalists that are running this. So I believe that the change is happening, because we know from EU and other big economic forums that this is happening. We have to go from the linear to the circular economy. So if you're not with us or in this, you will not be able to continue. There is now the opportunity that we can all take more responsibility to be part of the solution. So my take is, on the circular ways, is that I want to have also not talking about the reuse of materials, but we also have to be the reuse of human resource, because right now we are creating a system that people can't really make an impact. And I will say that all excluded groups have now the right and the possibility to be a part of the new value chains.
I'm happy you said that, because actually that leads very nicely into my next question, which actually was going to be that most people, are trying to solve one of society's biggest challenges, and that's hard enough. But you, through circular ways, are trying to address two major challenges. One is, the circular economy, but also social inclusion. And in the business models that you are using in circular ways, from a personal point of view, I want to know what inspired you to want to include people, and in particular excluded groups, as part of the solution to creating a greener society. Yeah, just because I find it fascinating that so many models in circular economy, it just looks at it from an environmental point of view. So I'm very intrigued to find out what motivated you as a person to think, hey, there's human capital here that we can actually utilize as a solution within
Well,
this.
we know that we have to change the way we are behaving. So we know that we have to use less, we have to make it repairable, we have to be able to take more care of ourselves. And my take was that my story was 10 years ago. I had a brain hemorrhage in a tumor. So I was disabled to work for a long time. I couldn't walk or speak. And it took me almost 10 years to be back 100% in the workforce. But I was called, let's say, in the system, in the social system in Norway, we have something called disabled funding, or social benefit. But I was also able to do many things. I had a rest capacity, they said, on maybe 30%, but there was no one that wanted to hire me. So I just started something on my own, because I still had the need to make an impact. I still had the need to be seen, and I still had to be able to do something meaningful in my life.
Yeah.
So I
And I
was
think that's
lucky
really
that I
inspiring,
had
actually.
that power. Yes, but at the same time, we
Yeah.
see that we know now that 25% of the work that's going to be creating is not. We don't know what that is yet, and we also know that about 2.5% of the new jobs are more. There's going to be more than 2.5% more jobs because of the circular economy. So we really can be, for the first time, I believe that the people like me, we have already been through a change. We know how it is to work with less capacity, and we know how it takes and to really change the way we're thinking. So we are the experts of the circular economy, I will say.
Yeah. And how in circular ways, do you have like tangible examples of how you brought in or you bring in disadvantaged groups? And what type of projects do you work on? And what materials do you work on? Yeah, what products do you produce or repurpose?
Yes. So we've been doing many different, because circular ways really want to be able to work on the consciousness, how they can change their behavior, and we make projects for youth and kids, and called the Circular Academy, where in 12 libraries they can learn how to repair their clothes and play with all playground toys and things they can create from reused materials. That's one thing. And then we have also started, I started with one group especially, which is designers that have, for some reason, a disability or can't work full time. And we map that with reused materials, and we make new interior designs, high end. And we work both with the municipality and had done creative work with them, but also with private sector to say, and we kind of make the meeting places. I can maybe show you a little bit of the examples if we have time. Let's see. But yep. Do you see this?
Yep. Does everybody see the image? Okay, great.
So this is an example from one of the gardens, so the urban gardens that we are involved with. And they really wanted to have some trolleys for the marketplaces they wanted to, and also they wanted to clean the vegetables in the field. And this was the youth work project in the summer, funded by a foundation called Gjensidige Stiftelsen. And so we had interactive sessions with them. And one of my designers, Eitor, created this trolley from old bicycles and old furnitures from the 80s, which we have a lot of in our landfills in Norway. So this was a way for him to use it as a designer and have the interactive and all the youth then creating it with us. So this is one example to really make them be a part of the story and also learn how to prepare and make things out of what they find. Let me see if I can get into that. This is the one project that we just recently did with one of the municipalities close to Oslo. And these are the typical chairs that you usually see in all offices. And they are also filled up in the landfills. And they had a lot of them because they were changing buildings. And this is for the innovation center that they just created. So we took apart all of these chairs, and the designer Olaug, Design to Notice, who is working with us, created this new reception area, which will always already be like it's an eye candy, but at the same time it also helps them talk about what they're really into in this municipality. They really want to put the agenda on green impact and also social impact. So our creations are starting conversations and new narratives which we need.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just seeing. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna I don't see you right now, so I'm just talking. So if there is anything, you can just stop. But this is the third example that I have with that we created for a private company called Storebrand, which is quite big in there in Norway. And these are condemned, from the scaffold when people are scaffolds. And here also we're making like the outside furniture for them to and what was important here is that this is the first time, and we need to cooperate in different ways if we're creating new value change like this. we have both the X factor of the materials that no one has ever used before, and also we have the X factor of the workforce that is working on the project. So it was very important, all the connections and all the conversations that we had together with the customer, because they were also educated how they should work with someone like us. So we actually made the whole story and the whole product together, which was a big learnings for all of us involved. That made it more.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what I love about the products that you've shown us, and this is also often been a criticism of anything that is sort of recycled, reused, repurposed, is that it looks ugly. And so the barrier for most people as well is like the aesthetical barrier. But the examples you've shown are very design led, and I think that also serves to convince people, especially when you're talking to private sector, so to have high quality products that can come out of recycled, reused, reclaimed, repurposed materials. So I think that is.
Yes, so that's very important, that because right now the market is not there yet. I mean, we need to find that the price is right for what it costs to disassemble and take together and all this, and that's maybe why also I am working on another big project that is funded by the Forskningsrådet, or the science board, or I don't know exactly what it's called how to map the whole new value chain of ocean plastic, from when you pick it up until you sort it out. It goes into the transportation, into to make the granulates, and then into new materials for furniture, and then what to do with it after, when it's used. Because that's what we need to do. We have to track the whole chains, see where is it possible to have social inclusion in the different parts, and then at the same time price that, so that it won't be only another way of having people on arbeidstrening. But actually making the price right, so that you can both take responsibility of the materials that you're using, so the producer is able to do that production responsibility, but also for people to be able to, maybe we can think new about how we manufacture certain things. Maybe there is only need for 2 hours a day work, and maybe there are groups that are perfect for that job, instead of feeling that they're included all the time.
So I'm just gonna take a few questions because I see them coming in, and seeing that we have 12 minutes left. The first one was from Sarah Prosser. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
And she's very obviously brilliant people. Yes, you're right. This is happening, and all excluded people must be part of it. We need more systemic changes to make it a norm and not project based. What would you change at systemic level to make it stick?
I think that one of the things that I'm always seeing is the missing link is, how do you cooperate together? And we are making a model that we can actually teach all the different stakeholders how to cooperate better. And how do you talk to someone that is not normally in the workforce, and how do you make them possible for them to make an impact in the value chain? This is something that we need to have time to discuss among the whole value chain with all the stakeholders. And the problem is right now, how do we fund the real systems change, and what is needed of the time that we need to be together to be actually able to create something new?
Okay, I hope that answered your question, Sarah. I'm just going to move on to Francisco. I hope I'm saying your name right, Francisco. He says, Katerina, how do these projects you showed promote the social inclusion of people with low income and generate jobs?
Yes, so we've been making what we do is that we map what is needed of education, and then we make certifications of, let's say, how to sort the plastic, which will be a new line of work. So then we can invite people to join us from the different groups, and they will actually get this education, and then be able to work in the chain afterwards. That's one point for the people that are really outside of the work. This, with my designers, they've been able to be a part of projects that they normally wouldn't be a part of, because they also have a rest capacity and it's hard for them to get into work. So because I'm facilitating then the network around them, so it feels safer to do things and also support them, and also be the one that talks to the customers at some point, it's easier for them to
Yeah.
actually focus on what they should be focusing on, and also don't feel ashamed that they're not, maybe for 2 or 3 days, not able to work because of they couldn't sleep, or there are other issues. So this is how we can create more by really talking to each other. We can create work environmental how we work together as a network. We will think of the whole chain as a network.
Hmm. Katerina, so you know, you're not on the screen with us, so I don't know if you want to kind
Oh,
of log back in. Had that issue before, and then I can continue with
yep, I will
questions.
log out and come back.
Okay, so we're just waiting for Katerina to come back in. There we go. And next question was from Maiken, who is asking, how do you get clients on board?
Yes, so that's really the different. It depends on where I am. I usually try to see in the where the project is situated. I will see who are the stakeholders around, and I will map that um, with the project. So, for instance, when I'm working in Moss, where I live, around the library, we are
Hmm.
creating a youth room with the redesigned furniture. I will also see other stakeholders that also work with other groups, and then involve them in the project. So it's very action driven and very concrete, instead of just talking. So
I
I will
like that you
get it
say
from
that.
NAV, and I will get it from different Kirkens Bymisjon, different
Yeah.
NGOs, different. There's so many great people working really hard to be seen, and show their interest, let's say, the group that they're working with, but they also need to work better together.
I like what you said because I think it's really key here about the work that you do that it's your agenda's action driven. Because as we all know, you know, especially in this space, there's a, you know, often, especially with the public sector, there's been a lot of talk of whitewashing, greenwashing, and a lot of lip service. So it's nice that you take from the get go this stance of this is really action driven agenda. So even before approaching the different stakeholders, it is an intention that's there for action. And I think
Yes.
that yes, that's very important because I think there's so much great intention when it comes to doing, you know, being better, even as consumers, doing the right thing at home, doing the right thing in terms of the products that we choose to buy, and what we choose to buy, from who we choose to buy. But I think intention is great, but if there's no follow through, if there's not an intention at the outset for action, often it just becomes a, oh, I wish, you know,
And
and nothing actually.
I really want to be an example of that. I'm one person. I did this. I just went on, and I started doing small projects, and I then connected with old people. So this is what I would like to do. Say to all of you: you now have the time to be able to make an impact. Either you don't wait. I mean, this is now happening, and as long as you build up your revenue and show to projects, people will listen to you, and maybe you will be a part of something bigger. And this is how I've been working to grow and grow and grow. And it's you don't need to have an education to be a part of this movement. This is a global movement.
It's accessible.
And, yeah.
Elmer also had a question, and it actually goes back. I'm not sure if Elmer heard the first part of our talk, but he goes, say, great work, linking to the start of the interview. Is there really something as a new circular consciousness? Tempting idea, but let's try and pinpoint to some particular elements that should constitute this mindset. Good question. Tough and good question. So,
yes, I believe you have to have something invisible to make it visible. So that's really what I'm trying to
do. Yeah. So do you think if there's anything in this awakening, so to speak, of this circular consciousness that is specific to us? I mean, we touched upon, I don't know if you heard, remember, we touched upon the economic aspect of this awakening. So, it's driven by the fact that there's awakening on, well, we can actually earn money by this. But is there anything else? I'm guessing that's what you want to know, Alma. Is there anything else within this awakening that is different to other times in history, or why is it so different now?
Yeah, we don't know that yet, but I think it's the fact that we have seen what went really wrong, and now it's the possibility to connect to materials and how we interact with each other. I mean, this is one way. I mean, it's a tool. It's not saying that this is the answer, but it's a possibility and a tool for us to start talking again in new ways.
Yeah. I'm going to take one last question. I see Mike in, because we have 3 minutes left. Katerina talked about that we feel it more. Can you say something more about that? We feel it more, the consciousness of it.
How we feel it more? I mean, we know that we can see it. I mean, we see that the systems are not working. We see that people are not involved in the workforce as they should be. We are saying that they're not able to work. We're saying that they're not. So we know it and we feel it. That I lost my words right now, but it's what I'm saying is
in a way you're saying it's reflected at us through society, what's happening at the moment. Yeah, it's affected.
We have made systems that are it was maybe made because we should take care of people, but at the same time we are disabling them to be a part of something.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to wrap it up before we get cut off, because we have 2 minutes. What I'm hearing really from this is that there is a need for collaborative approach to circular economy, and one that is not just about really talking to one stakeholder, but we're talking to consumers, to entrepreneurs who produce the products, and to public sector and private sector. So there is this kind of like convergence awakening from everybody, and the realization that we really need to work together to find the solutions and to create that really circular model, but also not leaving anyone behind, and actually using human capital to basically as a solution within the circular models as well. Thank you so much, Katerina, and thank you so much for everybody who attended. If you want to learn more or reach out to Katerina, you can find her details in networking, but she's also on LinkedIn. And thank you. And I hope to see you guys all soon somewhere.
Yes, stay tuned with the Babou as well. She is doing some amazing work. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.